Right, in this video, we are going to discuss furthermore about the HTTP servlets, sorry, Java servlets, right? Let's have a quick recap on what we have discussed so far. Here, I have created a HTML form to display on the client side. Then clients can enter some numbers here as user inputs. Then this user inputs will go to the backend. In here, I have implemented a servlet here. This data will be passed from front end to back end through this web.xml file. Right, this data will be passed through this XML file. Here we are having some kind of URL mapping, URL pattern mapping. When we submit this form, it will change the URL to add. Then this web.xml file, this is available in the server side. This server will accept this request that is coming from the client side, and based on the URL pattern, this will map the relevant servlet. In this example, we only have one servlet here. This request will map to this servlet. Then this servlet will be executed, and this request and response object will be created by the Tomcat and add the coming data from the client side and embedded into the request object. Then this request object, we can use this get parameter method already available in the HTTP servlet inbuilt method set. We can extract data from this request object and stored inside these two variables. Then we can do some operations. Then finally, we can send back this data to the client side using this print write object. That is the things we have covered so far. As you already know, here we are using HTTP protocol, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. With HTTP, we have four main methods we are using. Get, post, put, and delete. Get method is frequently used with extract some data or fetching data from server side to client side. Let's say if you want to get some data from the server, we can use get method. If you want to post something, let's say username and password or register, like things, we can use post method, right? Then put method, we are using put method for update data already available inside the server side. Then delete method, it is used with delete something is already exist in the server. Right, that is the idea of this is four HTTP methods we are frequently using, right? But in this case, we are not saying anywhere, we are not saying this is get method, this is post method, and this is the inbuilt method or the implemented method for execute get methods. We are not saying anywhere. But in secure web application, there should be some get methods as well as post method. In mostly, let's say you are going to register for a website, then you are entering your credentials. Those are very secret, should be in very secret, right? But in this scenario, you can see, first of all, I will run this program as a web application, run on server, then select the server, local server, Tomcat server, and restart the server. Right, this is what I got after execute this program. Then I enter two numbers and click on submit. Here you can see we can get the results, and the URL will be changed with the inserted data. This is the key point. for this discussion. Here, the URL is changed and it is visible to the outside. But when you are sending some secret data, this visibility is not good, right? Then we have to find a method to hide this information from a website. For that scenario, we can use post, right? We can use post method. How we can do it is, we can specifically say method equals post. Method equals post, right? Then if I save this and go back to browser and go back again and refresh and try to add two numbers here, enter two numbers here and click on submit. At that time, you can see the data are not visible here, but we can get the same output as before, right? We can, if I change this one again to add method and save, go back to browser and refresh, then enter two numbers. This time the numbers are visible, but I can get the results. What happened? When we are using add method, the data will be visible in the URL. When we are using post method, the data will be hide from the URL. Then there's a special thing here that are happening back in background. The service method will be executed for both get and post. This service method will be executed for all of these methods, special, right? But in some scenarios, we have to execute some set of instructions only for do methods. Sorry, only for get methods. In some scenarios, we have to execute this set of process only for post methods. But when we are using service method, these instructions will be executed for almost all the get, post, delete, and put methods. Therefore, we have a special method called doGet. DoGet method. This is again will be coming from the HTTP servlet superclass, right? This doGet method. This, when we are saying doGet, this process will be executed only for get methods. We are we are saying here, if we are saying the method is get, this method will be executed, right? When we are saying here post and only implemented the get method, let's see. I will save these changes and go back to browser and add two numbers here, enter two numbers here and click on submit. This will get show an error. Why? The HTTP method post is not supported by this URL. Why? The URL is post. The URL is generated based on this method, post. But in server side, there is no way to handle this URL request because we are specifically saying the method is get. When I change this one to post, save the changes and go back to browser and refresh and enter two numbers and click on submit. Oh, this I have to restart the server, stop the server and go back to project and run as run on server. Right. The application is there. Then by enter the numbers, now we can get the result. Because here I'm specifically saying the method is post. Then the URL will be generated based on this method. And it comes to the add servlet. And this do post method will be handle the post URL. Then let's say if you want to implement or both do post and do get method, you can implement two methods. Here you can say get. Now, this servlet will handle both do get and do post methods without any doubt, right? This is the idea of the method specifically saying with this type of forms. When we are sending some data from client side to server side, then the post method will be more suitable. When we are requesting or extracting data from server to client side, then we can use the get methods. Based on this method, we can implement the set of process inside this do get or do post methods, right? These both methods are implemented inside the server method. That is why we are saying here the void service, both get and post methods are acceptable for this for the service method. But inside the service method, we have specific section called do post and do get. This do post will execute only for post methods, post URLs. This do get method will only accept get methods, get URLs. Right? That is the idea of do get and do post. Right. This is the first thing I have to cover in this video. We have another example here, activity as well. In real world scenario, we have more than one servlet. We have to have more than one servlet. In this example, I have only one servlet here at servlet, right? I have only one servlet based on the do get or do post. Based on the method, this servlet, the methods available in the servlet will be executed. But in real world examples, we have to have more than one servlet to handle a complex, large scale large scale process. So uh, from this point onwards, let's have a look at on how to implement more than one servlet and how to execute these two or more servlets with a single request. Here, I'm only sending a request from this form and handling with this servlet. Let's have a look at on how you can implement more than one servlet and how to execute this all of these servlets. So how to link these servlets through this server-side implementation. Okay. For this example, I will remove this part from here, the printing part, and moving this printing part inside into another servlet. Right? This is very simple. We can do the same thing with the same servlet as well. But for better understanding, I will divide these two scenarios into two different servlets. I will implement another servlet here inside this package, new and class. I will name it as display servlet. Display servlet, right? This is the display servlet. Then I have to extend it with the HTTP servlet. HTTP servlet. I have to import it as well. Right. Uh, the method is I'm using here post method. Therefore, I will implement a post method here as well. Public void to post. It will take two objects here, HTTP servlet request object and HTTP servlet response object. right? Uh, then what else? I will implement this part before that. Up to this point, I can calculate the final results. Then I have to send this result from this servlet to this servlet, right? This is the actual task. For now, I will implement a print write object here. I will copy the code from here and paste inside the display servlet. Instead of printing the results for the testing purpose, I will print a simple message. This is from display servlet. Servlet. First, we will try to call this servlet. Then let's try. Then after that, we try to send this data, calculate say data from this servlet to this newly implemented servlet. Right. First, try to implement or try to connect this servlet with the previous one. In other words, let's try to execute this servlet from this servlet, right? I will save these changes, and I have to import the print writer and throw some exceptions as well. There's an exception handling here. I will add throws declaration here without implementing try catch block. Right, the servlet is ready. Let's try to connect this servlet with this. Here I can say, after do the calculation, I can say, uh, I can create a request dispatcher object. Request dispatcher. Request dispatcher, I will create a request dispatcher object. I will say RD. You can give any name here. Then using request object, because this is an interface. In Java we cannot create an object from the from an interface. Here I'm using request object to get a request dispatcher instance, right? Get request dispatcher. Here I can say request dispatcher RD equals request dot get request dispatcher, because this is an interface. We cannot create an instance from directly from this kind of interfaces. Therefore, I'm using request object to get the instance for request dispatcher. Here I can say the new URL or the URL for this servlet. For this servlet, the URL is this one, /add. Right, this URL will be comes with coming from this interface. Based on this URL changes, the web.xml file will be execute this servlet, and this will be executed based on the request. Right, here I have to specifically say what is the new URL for this display servlet. I can say it is display right? Then import the library, required library, right? Now I have to forward this created dispatcher object with the same object we are using request object and response object. Here we are creating a request dispatcher object, and the URL will be changed with this URL pattern. Then same object, same request object and same response object will be forwarded to the next servlet here. right? What is the idea of that? This we are forwarding same request and same response object we used before with this URL pattern. Now the URL will be changed according to this, right? The URL will be changed according to this, right? Then we have to implement the web.xml file with this URL pattern, right? It shows an error. Yeah, we have to throw an exception, servlet exception here, right? Then we have to implement the URL pattern or the URL mapping with this new URL. Here, I'm going to the web.xml file and copy this XML tags, and I'm using a new name servlet2 and servlet2 here. When we change the URL with display, because here I'm saying this is the new URL. I'm saying here this is the URL here display. When we change the URL with the display, this servlet or the web.xml file will catch this URL change and execute the new servlet. What is the servlet? Display servlet. Display servlet, right? I will save these changes and stop the server and run this server, run this project as a web application using Tomcat. Right, I have the application. I will import the two numbers and click on submit. Here we got the result. Here, got the results mean we are now change the URL according to this given pattern, and based on this web.xml file will be map our request to the display servlet, and this method will be executed. Now the first part is okay. Now the rest is we have to send this data. This data means this calculated data from this servlet to this servlet. Without passing data from this to this method cannot get the calculated value from here to here. That is the idea. Then how we can send this calculated data from this servlet to this servlet? Let's see. Here we can say with this request object, I can set an attribute. Initially, we are saying an attribute in this way. We are giving a name with value. From this servlet, using get parameter method, we can extract this extract data based on the name. As similar here, I can set a new attribute with this data. Let's say how you can do it. I'm using the same request object, request dot set attribute. Set attribute. We can give a name for the attribute and the actual value. I'm using this variable to pass the data, and I'm giving the same name here as well. Name of this attribute is total and the value is with this variable. Now the data is added to the request object as total attribute. Then we will change the URL and forward this request object as well as this previously used response object to the next servlet, right? From this servlet, I can extract data. Again, I can create a variable here to store total. Then I can say response request dot get attribute. Then the attribute name. What is the name of the attribute? Total. Here, name of the attribute is total. Then this method is uh, return an object. Then I have to typecast it to an integer value. Int typecast to int and stored inside the total. Then instead of printing this is from display, I can print the result. So I can print the result here. Result. Then I can append the total, the value total. Right? I will save these all changes. I will save these changes and go back to the project and restart the server. The website is ready. I am entering two numbers and click on submit. I can get the results and see the URL. With these values, the URL is not added the value, only the URL changes, right? What will happen actually here, when you are submit this data with this URL, it's the post method and only this request will execute do post method inside the servlets, right? From the server, right? The URL will be changed to add. Then request is go to this servlet, and we have two servlets here. Then the URL is matched with this servlet 1. Then this will execute this servlet and go inside to the add servlet. And from the request object, these parameters will be extracted and stored inside these two variables. And it will calculate the total. And then now we have to send this data, the calculated data, to the display servlet, right? Then for that, we are creating a new attribute here with this calculated data and add this attribute inside the request object and send it back to the, or send it or forward it into the new display servlet. What is the URL for new display servlet? Display. This is the new URL, right? When you execute this code, the URL will be changed to display. Again, go back to the web.xml file and again check the matching URL pattern. Now the URL pattern is changed to /display. Then this will execute the second servlet. Execute means you are moving to the display servlet. And from this display servlet, it's again using request object and extract attribute from the attribute name. And extracted data is stored inside the int variable. And create a print writer object and it embedded to the response object. And using the created print writer object, we can send this extracted or the received data from the add servlet and print on the server side or sorry, client side display. That is the pipeline of this kind of application, this application. You can have more than one servlet. You can use this concept of request dispatcher concept to call a servlet from a servlet. Calling a servlet from a servlet, right? The idea is calling a servlet from a servlet. We have two methods to do this task. First one is request dispatcher. Second one is redirection. For this video, we'll discuss about the request dispatcher, the first one. By next video, we are going to discuss about the uh, redirection. We can use both cases, both scenarios, depending on the requirement, right? Right. This is the thing I have to cover with this example, this video. I will share this code with you through the LMS, then you can go through it as well. Then we can move to the next topic in next video.